Hey there, Kyle Souza here for What's Up in the Woodlands. And I want to start off this year by talking about what is the Woodlands. Now, I could go to the township webpage or Wikipedia or any other number of places and give you stats and figures about it being, the largest master plan community and a live, work, play community, and it's a township, not a city, and all this stuff. But that's not what I want to do. I want to talk to you about what the Woodlands means to me, what I see it as someone who lives here and works here. Again, my name's Kyle Souza. My blog is thetalkinggeek.com, and this is my podcast, Welcome to the Woodlands. So the Woodlands is where I'm raising my family. I am from Phoenix, Arizona, or technically Chandler. Originally is where I lived. And moved to Spring at a very young age when my parents got divorced, and was familiar with the Woodlands because of the Woodlands Mall. And eventually I grew up and moved out on my own and got married and all that, and I've lived in mostly Spring and then North Houston and back in Spring again, and then in the Woodlands proper with some apartments on the waterway and then a house in Grogan's Mill. And all my children have been born at Memorial Hermann, the Woodlands. I currently work at a company that is near the waterway. And because I live in Grogan's Mill, when the weather's good, I get to ride my bike to work. So why am I raising my family here? Well, I needed a place where my wife felt safe. Safety is very important to her. And we have kids, and we wanted a place where we could not be worried about them. Not that we're going to just let them go play in the street for hours unsupervised or something like that, or, anything crazy, but we want a place where we don't have to worry when we're getting out of the car at a shopping center. Not that we aren't vigilant, but that we're not constantly afraid of where we are, checking over our shoulder, those kinds of things. So the Woodlands is a safe place. All right. The Woodlands is nice. It's really fancy. They're even planning a bunch of renovations to the Woodlands Mall that'll make it, the Houston Galleria 2.0 is how it feels. But the Woodlands is nice. There's houses, ranging from mid-tier all the way up to multi-million-dollar estates. There's townhouses, apartment complexes, but most of the residences are single-family dwelling units. The Woodlands is established. One of the things that I love about the Woodlands is all the mature trees, though it does, make for a tough time sometimes, all those pine needles and oak leaves in the yard and pollen in the spring. Lots of cleanup to be done, but it's worth it. I love these mature trees that are around, and that's one thing that with all this new development, we're losing a lot of that. There's so many parts of the Woodlands that, cut down all the trees to build the houses instead of building the houses in the trees. It really reminds me of Frank Lloyd Wright and the Taliesin style of building, where Taliesin means shining brow, and the idea is you don't build a house that dominates the hill, you build a house that goes into the hill, that flows with it, that works with it. And that's how I feel like most of the Woodlands is. Most of the shopping centers and the businesses and the homes are in the trees, around the trees, with the trees. But a lot of this new development, they're just taking the trees out. Maybe they'll put some back in, but there's no guarantees there. So the Woodlands is nice aesthetically. The Woodlands is a community. I know my neighbors. I am not intimately involved in their lives, and they're not intimately involved in mine. But that may have more to do with me and my personality and somewhat introverted nature than anything else. But it really is a community. I see everybody who walks their dogs around the neighborhood, and we have one dog now. We used to have two, but now we only have one, sadly. But I see everyone else who walks their dogs around. I get to know them. I get to know their dogs. I have kids, two young girls and a baby boy, and I see other parents walking their children or playing outside with their kids, and we get to know them and get to be around them, and it's great to be able to um, know the people that are around you. I don't necessarily rely on my neighbors for much, but I do feel like that if there was a disaster, they would get involved, at least to the point of, hey, your house is on fire, get out. They would warn me about that. When a lot of people see trash or something out of place, they just fix it because they want the community to look right and to be clean, to do well. So people are involved. People are vested. They have a vested interest in the success of these communities. The Woodlands is broken into all these villages. I believe there's 11 of them. And like I said, I live in the village of Grogan's Mill. And there's these township boards where anyone who owns residential property or lives here, so even renters get to participate in board activities. I think it's great how many people get involved, not just at the township board, which is like a city council type thing, but at the village level, which is kind of like an HOA thing. I just think it's great to have involvement at all levels from all people who live here. So the Woodlands is a community. And the Woodlands is an economic powerhouse. It is an affluent area. There's a lot of people, there's some oil companies here, and there's a lot of people in the oil industry who live here, even if they work down in Houston or Memorial City, Katy even. They live here in the Woodlands, and so it's an economic boon to the local area. You have cities near it like Oak Ridge North that are, near the Woodlands that benefit from the Woodlands. Shenandoah, I believe, and I may be mistaken, but I believe it has the highest hotel per capita, or maybe per square mile, highest number of hotels per square mile, highest number of hotels per capita of any city in the country. And Shenandoah is a city. They have a mayor, and it's right near the Woodlands. In fact, a lot of people will confuse Shenandoah and the Woodlands because Shenandoah, you got Portofino Center. It's right on the other side of Research Forest, things like that. But they have just an inordinate amount of hotels, and I think it's fantastic that the Woodlands helps the local area around it so much economically. And I don't mean helps as in handouts. I mean just like people want to be near the Woodlands, and the Woodlands has so many amenities and offerings that people, there's a symbiotic relationship there between us and neighboring cities. So the Woodlands is a economic powerhouse, and hitting close to home here is the Grogan's Mill Village Center, which Randall's moved out back in 2020, and Chef Chan's is there, Blue Lion Pub, the farmers market. There's things that are still there, but it's missing a big piece, and so I hope that we get that filled in soon. And I know that Panther Creek has a similar situation, or Starling Ridge. There's Panther Creek and Grogan's Mill, the oldest villages. Starling Ridge is also without a Cornerstone grocery store at this time. So there's also within the Woodlands some symbiotic relationships and some camaraderie between these villages. Even though we are kind of one community, multiple communities, it's an interesting state. All right. So again, my name's Kyle Souza. My blog is talkinggeek.com, and this has been What's Up in the Woodlands, where I just wanted to start off 2023 with a little bit of a fresh and personal take on what is the Woodlands, Texas to me. Please rate, review, leave some comments, give me some feedback. What does the Woodlands mean to you? I would love to hear other people's input on what the Woodlands is to them. Enjoy.